After making its first away day trip to Portimao last time out, the F4 Spanish Championship continued onto its second venue outside of Spain, as the paddock ventured to Circuit Paul Ricard in Le Castellet, situated in the south of France and basking in bright blue skies and warm sunshine. Qualifying sprung a surprise when Mattia Colnaghi scored pole position for race 1 ahead of championship leader and MP Motorsport teammate Keanu Al Azhari, while Juan Coto's superb third place, Griffin Peebles and Ernesto Rivera completed the top 5. Lucas Fluscher was second in points heading into Paul Ricard, but he began to suffer the weekend from hell after he was collected at the start of race 1, damaging his right rear wheel and forcing him out on the spot. This brought about the safety car while his stricken car was recovered, allowing poleman Colnaghi to retain the lead ahead of a fast-starting Juan Cota in second, Keanu Al Azhari in third, then James Egozi and Rivera in the top 5. On the restart, Egozi passed Al Azhari into the chicane for third, while Van David also had a spin moments later at the opening S-bend, which put his race into a tailspin. But a few laps later, the championship leader was also about to hit strife. Al Azhari ran wide exiting Virage de Bondor, damaging his MP Motorsport car and forcing him back to the pits to change his own nose section. He would eventually finish at the back of the field in 30th, becoming the second major championship contender to drop out and lose valuable points. Out in front, Colnaghi had the race under his command and continued to bid to score his first F4 Spanish win, leaving an exciting fight for second place behind him between Cota and Egozi. Cota was also on course for his best finish to date, while the young Red Bull junior Egozi was hungry to score his first podium result too and continued to press DriveX's young Spaniard hard. A first attempt to pass saw Egozi lose third to Rivera at the chicane, and for several laps, the quartet of Cota, Rivera, Egozi and Maciej Gladysz circulated as a group in a stalemate, each waiting for one of them to pounce. It came at Virage du Pont when Rivera attempted a dive inside to no avail, allowing Egozi to sweep around Rivera into Virage de l'Hotel before Rivera then overshot the chicane moments later. Egozi bided his time until making the pass through Le Beausset to steal second on the penultimate lap, with the quartet remaining status quo until the flag. Out in front, a dominant Mattia Colnaghi was victorious, as the young Italian took his first F4 Spanish win by 6 seconds, with Egozi and Cota claiming their first championship podium finishes in second and third, ahead of Gladysz and Rivera in the top 5. Despite another clean start for Colnaghi from pole, race 2 was barely a lap old before the race was stopped for a multi-car incident at Virage du Pont. Tim Gerhardt was tapped into a spin at the final corner before being collected by Preston Lambert's Polo Motorsport car and then Maximiliano Restrepo in sympathy, forcing a red flag. A shortened race was restarted under the safety car, but before racing could even begin again, there was more drama when Van David and Adam Al Azhari tangled at the chicane to put both cars out on the spot. When racing finally did resume, Colnaghi cleanly restarted to hold the lead from Keanu Al Azhari, Gladysz, Peebles and Rivera, but with little time left to try and make moves, it meant everyone had to be on their toes to try and do so before the finish. Repeating his feat from race 1, Colnaghi ensured he had the pace to keep the rest of the field at bay, with Al Azhari and Gladysz together for second and third, and a battle pack by Peebles fighting over fourth downwards. The order in the fight for fourth would shuffle around in the final laps, with Rivera and Egozi moving up in quick succession, leaving Peebles to also come under threat from Cota and lose the place to slip to 7th. Colnaghi, meanwhile, kept his cool to score his second win in as many races and of the season for himself and KCL MP Motorsport, while Al Azhari earned redemption for his Race 1 retirement with second place ahead of Gladysz in third, while Rivera in fourth and Egozi holding back Cota on the final lap, rounding off the top 5. Maciej Gladysz would then start race 3 from pole alongside Egozi on the front row, the young American making an initial challenge heading into the first corner but having to settle for second. There was early trouble for Matus Rieber after he found himself facing the wrong way exiting Virage du Camp, the Slovak driver's weekend ending prematurely. Gladysz was keen to take his first F4 Spanish win of the season, but had a feisty top 5 of Egozi, Al Azhari, double winner Colnaghi and Rivera on his tail in the early laps. In an early repeat of the first two races, Gladysz had the pace to create a gap in the opening laps as the rest of the top five held station behind him. Further back in the top 10, Campos teammates Nathan Ty and Jan Brzezowski ended up in combat over 8th position, the Brit getting the better of the Polish driver initially before he dropped back and eventually finished in 8th. By half distance, Gladysz continued to lead, but now had Egozi right on his tail in his bid to steal victory from the Polish driver. The American Red Bull Junior continued to push, at one stage losing a car length at Labose with a locking front wheel, while behind them, Rivera made a bold pass into the opening S-bend round the outside of Colnaghi, with the Italian trying and failing to retaliate to repass. Meanwhile, Egozi was now on Gladysz's gearbox and had brought along Al Azhari for company to create a three-way lead fight up front. Egozi made attack after attack to try and snatch victory, but found no way through as Gladysz firmly defended the lead, as both Rivera and Colnaghi joined the fight to make it a five-way fight. Egozi tried to pass into the Verari S-bend, but ran over the runoff tarmac, leaving Al Azhari to pounce and sweep to his outside, taking second place on the penultimate lap. Bizarrely, the checkered flag was wrongly waved a lap early, but the leaders continued racing on the final lap as one final attempt from Egozi to retake second place was in vain. Gladysz completed a strong defence and a great drive to clinch his first F4 Spanish race win and complete a KCL MP Motorsport clean sweep, with Al Azhari in second and Egozi in third, followed by Rivera and double win Colnaghi. Two podium finishes help Al Azhari continue as championship leader, leaving Paul Ricard, with his gap now increased to 42 points. Colnaghi's two wins catapult him to second place ahead of Rivera and Gladysz, while almost anonymous weekends for both Thomas Strauven and Lucas Fluscher have dropped them to 5th and 6th. The F4 Spanish Championship now heads back home for the final four race weekends of 2024, starting at Motorland Aragon at the end of July. Keanu Al Azhari benefited massively from the misfortunes of his main rivals, but will have to watch for them to bounce back when the championship gets back in action in just a few weeks' time.